So tell us a little bit about who Mona Corwin is, and you're obviously a towering personality, and you're a very happy person. But tell us why you're so happy. Tell us about your family and your husband. Tell us about the real joys in your life.
Yeah, well, I am pretty happy. Not always. No one's happy all the time. And I have 5 kids, which would make you not happy lots of time. But I'm Mona Corwin, and I'm from the Midwest. I've lived in Texas now for about 40 years, and we love it here. I married my high school sweetheart. I met him when I was 14 years old. I was a new girl in school, and he walked around the corner, and he looked at me standing there, very scared, and he said, "I'm going to marry that girl." Now, please understand, he was a very mature 15-year-old. So we laugh and joke because we say, of course he had to marry me because he's never wrong. Therefore, I had to marry him, right?
It was a fait accompli.
Yes, yeah. But it's been a wonderful ride. We have had hard things in our lives, but our marriage has not been one of them. And we feel like God has really blessed us to bring us together. Our goal in our marriage, and we feel our mission, and in this generation, is to draw a generational line and fill it with the good things that God has had and that God has designed, and to create a generational line that is free from some of the bondages from our families of origin. And so that's been kind of our goal. We weren't we didn't start out being all about Jesus. He just kind of worked his way into our lives, and we're just really happy with the way it's gone.
Oh, that's
We
fabulous.
have 5 kids.
Are they all different?
All of our kids?
Yeah.
Oh, on purpose. Yes, of course. And our 2 sons are biological, and our 3 daughters are adopted. And so we had the first one, then I couldn't get pregnant, so I know all about infertility. It's so sad and so hard. I understand it, how moms feel. We adopted Sweet Mallory, and within 6 months I was pregnant with Max. And so we had Max, and then a while later we got our Jerry Springer daughter.
Why did you say Jerry Springer daughter?
It was a family member that wasn't doing very well, and so we ended up with the daughter, and she wanted to be adopted, and so we said, yeah, let's adopt you. So she was 8, and then we had an international adoption with our daughter from Brazil, from the Amazon jungle, and that was fun. This little blonde-haired girl flew into Manaus, and we took a 24-hour boat ride, open boat ride, slept in hammocks, and we were on a mission trip, and yeah, so we met her, and we brought her home a year later. And
Wow.
They said she was 12, but she was really 9. But we got her out of before she was sex trafficked.
Oh,
when
what
they're
a blessing
12 or
you
13.
were.
So, well,
She's aware of that, or she's not? That's kind of...
Well, no. Yeah,
Just
she's
keep
not
it-
totally aware of it.
Yeah.
But
She doesn't have to know about
yeah,
that.
she's 26 now, and yeah. So
That's
all of
awesome.
our kids are big and grown. We've got grandkids. And momslikeuss.org is a mentoring thing. I started mentoring women back a long time ago when my kids were little. Women would just come and start asking me stuff, and I thought, this is weird. What do I know? I'm still learning too. And then I learned about the scripture called Titus 2, and it's in the New Testament. Okay. Titus is a very small book, and Titus 2:2 says that the older women are supposed to help the younger women love their husbands and be wives and mothers and to be busy at home. And I thought, whoa, that's kind of me. And then I found another scripture that said Proverbs 14:1, and I get teared up every time I say this. It says, a wise woman builds her house, but a foolish one tears it down with her own hands. And Bill, I was tearing down my house with my own hands.
How are you doing that?
Because I had believed feminist lies. I had believed that
Erica Young or all the early feminists.
Well, it's not early
Gloria
feminist.
Steinem.
Oh yeah.
You bought into all their trappings.
Yeah, that I didn't need a man, and I had boots, and I was going to walk on everybody.
Yeah.
And I actually had a 15-year-old boy that would do anything I wanted. because he loved me. And then he grew into the man that was the husband and the father that just wanted to see me smile, Bill. And I took advantage of that, but I didn't know I was doing it.
So for the early part of your marriage, you were a firm subscriber to traditional feminism, first, second, third wave, whatever?
I would not have called myself a feminism, but I had believed all the lies that I did not need a man, that I didn't snap my neck, but it was pretty, my tongue was just as snappy, and I was controlling and manipulative. I didn't appreciate the things that were about my husband, and I was controlling everything and everybody. Some of that was perfectionism, which I kind of got rid of that, until I met a woman who ended up being a Titus II mom to me. And she said, "Did you really say that to your man or your husband?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Oh, come here. Let's sit down." And she started teaching me about what a man needs. Well, no one ever told me what a man needs. I was only learning what I needed because I was a girl. And it was what we needed and what we wanted. And we're going to break glass ceilings, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that.
And how you can do everything a man can do, except you can do it backwards in high heels.
Well, but that's silly.
Yeah, I know. Why is that important? What does that matter?
Men and women are not interchangeable.
That's right.
They are not. But here's the beautiful thing. And then she said, "You need to study how God designed this." And I started studying it. And because she told me some stuff, and I thought, I don't know if I believe all that. I'm like, "You're nice, but really, I don't know." So I started studying it, and I found out the beauty. God created man and woman equally loved, equally valued, equally made in his image, with gifts and talent, each one of them with gifts and talents that are to be lived out in family to the culture, to bless other people. I'm like, well, that seems good. And then I started realizing that I wasn't in a competition. He's literally created perfectly for me, designed perfectly, because this is the wonderful thing I love about men. And as I started, it's a good thing I had boys, because I got to raise men. So cool. Like, you can't raise your boys like your girls.
No, you can't.
Well, don't tell a feminist that, because that's not true, because boys and girls can do anything they want. Well, no, they can't. No, they can't. Like, I can't be an NBA basketball player. I have to be the way God designed me. And I got to find out what that was, and I get to help my kids find out what that is. That's why they're all different, and they're all wonderful, and they're all, I believe, walking in the way God designed them and the gifts and talents that they have. They even dress different. It's cool, really cool. But I decided that I needed to know these things. And when I saw the beauty of it, because a man is strong on the outside, but if he's a good man, he's soft on the inside. And a woman, look how soft we are. I mean, we can go buff, but we're still soft. Like, you can get these girls that are all buffy buff, but they still look pretty. They still got their curves and stuff. And we're soft on the outside, but we're strong on the inside. And we reflect God. We reflect God. We reflect Genesis. And I'm like, wow. And then I saw a thing that was like, somebody wanted me to watch Steel Magnolias. Okay, so I watched it. I was mad when I was done, because I could see the lies of feminism all over the place. And I'm like, this is really funny, and I enjoyed it. But I started seeing that that's not how women should be.
They're promoting an agenda.
Well, Hollywood is always promoting an agenda.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it, but I noticed that the older women kind of got it and the younger women didn't in the thing. And then I watched how the older women in the movie were teaching the younger women in the movie. And I'm like, aha, there it is.
There's the takeaway.
So I thought, a magnolia. And then I went and looked up a magnolia, because I'm a learner. And I said, I want to be a magnolia. Because let me tell you something about a
What
magnolia.
yeah,
Bill.
what did it say about magnolias?
Magnolias. When you walk by a magnolia tree, you know you have walked by a magnolia
That's true.
tree. You can smell it.
I can verify
The fragrance of femininity is a beautiful thing. Women like it, men like it, children draw to it, grandchildren really love it because they can really smell it. But that's that sweet fragrance of femininity. And then a petal of a magnolia looks real fragile. Like a rose petal will kind of fall off. But a magnolia petal is really strong. And when you touch it, it's super soft, but it's really strong. And I thought, whoa, that's kind of like we're soft on the outside and we're strong. And it lasts. And those leaves, they don't fall off very good. And if you look at a magnolia tree, they grow super tall. They grow super, super tall.
And strong boughs.
Oh, you can't knock a magnolia tree.
No, you can't.
Like I would consider myself feminine and soft and kind and cozy, but you better not come around my kids or you better not mess with my man. So the Moms Like Us Academy takes and helps you in a Titus 2 way. Just think Titus 2 goes online. The feminist movement is not a good movement. And as you know from my lecture at the Moms for America, in their own words, that whole lecture that I gave was in their own words. And when I started finding out what they were saying about women, I'm like, how can you say you're for women? You're not for women. Look at the mess we have. We're talking about teenage girls that are having trouble and lots of them are taking their own lives. They don't know their identity. And we're told that you can be anything you want, including a cat. Why would you want to be a cat when you're a wonderful girl? So there are things that need to be changed in that. But my heart is to help mothers know who they are. And when a mother knows something, no one is taking that from their kid. And that's my goal. Yeah, I've been with Moms for America since it started. I've been with Kimberly since it started. That woman, she rented out the Ralston Arena.
What's the Ralston Arena?
It's like the arena in Omaha, Nebraska.
It's like 20,000 seats or something?
Oh, yeah.
And she rented it out for what?
She rented out for a conference that she felt like she was supposed to do. And I'm like, and she asked me to be a speaker. And at that time, I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. And anyways, I called her back and said, yeah, I will. She already had her speakers filled. And I said, you know what? I think I believe in what you're doing. I will come, and if somebody can't speak, I'll be prepared to speak. And if not, I'll just do whatever you need. And so I've kind of just been there doing whatever they need all along. And I'm always honored when they ask me to speak. And I love being on the board of directors. It's a wonderful organization. Well, truly wonderful. And I think we can do that when we start really seeing the wonder of the true feminine and how we can approach our men who are truly masculine. And it's chemical. And when a woman is soft and just talks nicely, then a man is going to be receptive to it.
Talk about the new femininity that you're seeing and how that's making men feel so much better because they've been mocked and ridiculed and toxic masculinity and all the nonsense that's out there about men, emasculation, all the stuff. Yeah, that's why we see so many man buns and mom jean wearing skateboard riding guys. You know, it's just like crazy. But talk about the femininity, the new return. The heralded return of femininity and how it's making men feel better, but even more important, how it's making women feel better. And maybe we can tie that into the girls, too.
Yeah, we are totally seeing a new trend of the embracing of the feminine. It's still kind of messy with the trad wives. Everybody's still trying to get it. There's another phrase that they're using. It's called the divine feminine, which really goes kind of new agey, kind of out there magical, a little bit. Like, kind of like goddess worship stuff.
Non-entity, non-deity.
That might work for them, but it's not going to work for Christian moms.
That's right.
And
that sounds like an atheist kind of thing.
Yeah, it's just they're trying to get there. And as always, there's always truth inside of a lie. And the only thing that we can do is look at the original design. And we look at the original design. When I take women, I've taken thousands of women through authentic womanhood. I have had one woman that left. Every single time those women look at it, they're like, yes, yes, yes.
Lots of head nodding?
They're doing the work. Like, I make women work. I just don't talk to them. I make them work. And I make you think. And then I require you to, like, try something. I don't care what it is. Just try something. And that woman said, I said, sweetie, did I say something wrong? Because I'm always afraid that the feminists are going to.
With her?
Yeah. My greatest fear is that I'm going to have to go on The View and Whoopi Goldberg is like going to tear me to pieces. And my husband said, baby, I'd go with you. I'm like, yeah, I know, but it's Whoopi Goldberg, honey. I think she could whip you. He goes, she can whip me. And but he said, baby, you don't have to go. I said, no, I absolutely would go because I'm not afraid, because I know what I believe and I know what is true. But anyways, where was I?
We're talking about authentic womanhood.
Yes,
and
the woman,
the new femininity that's coming back.
The woman said.
So was the woman who was leaving? I want you to finish that story.
Yeah, it's a good
was
one.
The woman who was leaving? Is she like kind of your prototypical lesbian transgender mom who might be like, hey, it's all about women's reproductive rights? She wasn't like that.
No, because
she wasn't quite that far gone.
No, she wasn't that far gone.
Okay.
Which I've talked to women like that, and some of those women are just they're not my people.
And there's no hope for them?
Oh, of course there is.
But you can't persuade them.
No, I just would need more time with them. I think I can persuade anybody.
Several weeks.
I think I
with
can
each one.
Probably persuade anybody.
Okay.
But she was probably 50. She seemed seemed like a really nice woman, but she slipped out, and I didn't see her leave. So when I was talking to her, and I said, is there anything that I did? Can I help you? And I said, she said, I'm not coming back. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right. And she said, I'm too convicted, and it hurts too much to look at it, because if I had known what you're teaching, I wouldn't be on my third divorce. And I started crying.
That's what I've been thinking myself, and I'm not a woman.
And it's not her fault. I mean, it's not our fault. We've had 60 years of these lies, and we've taught them to our kids, and they're all our daughters, and it's all over everything. I mean, we can take anything. I can hardly watch a show that I'm not looking at it or seeing it's not just the emasculation of men. It's the defeminizing of the most beautiful thing that God created.
So talk about how feminism confuses women. Like, I was going to say the lady that left your event early, that she might have been just offended by it, but she wasn't offended. She realized you were right, and she couldn't take it.
She had regrets. She couldn't go back.
That talks about the pain that's involved in this.
Yes.
So talk a little bit more about that, because it sounds like feminism has done a lot of damage to people, to women.
To women, and they're supposed to be all about women. And when you find out, hey, you're not about women, and we know that through the sports, right?
Riley Gaines,
but
yeah.
When we know and you'd have to go back to the history, and I know that I don't know. I ended up being an expert on feminism, anti-feminism, and I know the history. It happened when Kate Millett was given the ability to go to all the colleges in the 70s and put women's studies into the schools. Then it went into the culture, and the girls that were that were there.
And it sounds like I'm unfamiliar with Kate Millett, but
okay, you need to know Kate Millett. She was one of the 12.
So somebody like Millett, who's pushing this agenda of feminism,
right.
They had a built-in audience in academia.
Well,
so for instance,
started changing all of the stuff that came out of the women's studies became
Right.
the ruler.
Next thing
the
you know,
ruler.
there's a PhD in women's studies at Wellesley.
Yes.
And so
All those women.
all the seven sisters, Vassar, Wellesley, Smith.
They all did it.
So Hillary Clinton was the
It was
early audience of that.
It was like the biggest intervenous push. They weren't able to get across the whole country, but they were able to get to the students that were there. And there was already rebellion kind of going on. And so it was like they were getting the moms and the wives and making them feel very discontent. And then they were getting the daughters that were at the college. Now you got two generations. And again, it's the culture is so important, but when you know what God says and it makes it a little more difficult to get that stuff in you. We raised 5 kids. They all came out of college as patriots, believing in Jesus, understanding their identity. So it helps, but a culture is very, very powerful, and mothers are the front line for that. And it doesn't matter whether you're work or you're home baking cookies. You can instill these things into your daughters so they understand who they are. And I really truly believe that feminism is not for us. It is not.
So when they install these fictional kinds of facts into young girls, then they kind of create this situation where young girls don't think they need boys or men either, and then they grow up their lives that way. And there's also an aspect of feminism that really bothers me a lot as a man, which is we don't need men, we're better than men. Men are insignificant to be mocked and ridiculed, but then we'll come back and use men whenever we can.
Well, that's exactly what it is, friend. I'm so sorry, but that is what it is.
It's crushing.
It is crushing, and it's wrong. And then we're going to blame you for us not having the other things we want.
Right.
The patriarch.
Which are money?
Well, no, they can make their own money. It's not about money.
Right. No, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
And they do make their own
money.
money.
But if a feminist is coming back and kind of saying, well, I need a man in this instance, it might be for money or success or wealth or power.
Oh, well, we know how to get that. It's called smile. It's called... I mean, you guys are helpless. A woman has a lot of influence.
Yes.
And I don't say we have power because we have influence. And when we use our influence properly, it's a blessing. When we use our influence improperly, it hurts. It's a curse. And we can be women that are in the same house that do both and not know it. And that's why I cried, because I didn't want to be that woman. I love my husband. I love my dad. And what happened in the feminist movement is they said, we don't need men, but the confusion, and this is where it goes to the girls, the confusion that it causes inside of a woman, and I'm sure it does in a man, but especially inside of a young girl or a woman, is that we say we don't need you, and we don't want you, but, oh, wait a minute, I'm attracted to you, and I love my dad, and he's good, and my uncle is kind, and my grandpa's the best. I can't be mad at them.
You can't reconcile that.
No, they don't reconcile.
It doesn't add
creates
up.
a confusion at all. And then you hear about how men just want your body and all this stuff, and then you're like, oh, my dad, does my dad want my body? Like, your dad's this great guy, and it's like, I'm confused because that is what the culture was saying in the 70s and 80s. And then it was like sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And it's like, okay, now I'm really confused because I'm mad at men. Men are taking everything from me. Men are stupid. They're this, they're that. But I love my dad.
Only interested in one thing, yeah.
Yeah, but you do too. You're sexually attracted to men. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Now what do I do? Oh, wait a minute, I'll be a lesbian. Oh, now we can be trans. So it just kind of has developed into this gross bacteria of confusion. And it is not, I just keep saying it's not their fault. because they don't know, because it's 60 years of it, Bill. 60 years.
It's not whose fault, and they don't know.
Well,
the
it's
kids.
the kids. The moms right now don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I heard this girl that I love so much. She was talking to a girl, and she was 35, and she's like, you know, I don't know where my husband is. I'm waiting, and I want my husband. I'm just, you know, they were just talking girls, and I was listening. And the one says, well, you know, you don't need a man. Before that woman got that out of her mouth, that girl said, oh, yeah, I do. Oh, yeah, I do. Oh, yeah, I do need a man. Because I want someone to love. I want someone to cherish.
What was the comeback from the feminist?
Well, she did say, yeah, of course you do.
Wow, that's a stunning admission.
And that girl was my daughter.
Oh, wow.
And
You
that
must have been very
said,
proud
oh,
of her.
yeah, I do.
You must have been very proud of her.
Well, yeah, I was. But I was proud of the fact that she was willing to, well, she knows her identity, and she knows who she is and what she wants. And it's hard, because to find men that are not in the rubble, again, is it their fault? I don't know. Men that are in the rubble. We have rubble. We have an enemy, and that enemy is on the attack, and we all know the family's under attack. This is not a new phrase.
That's right.
But what we don't know is that there has been immense casualties, and we're not under attack. This is in rubble. We have got to rebuild this, and the foundation is in identity. And when young girls find their identity, it doesn't matter if you are hissing at me, because I know what I can do. I know my Constitution. I know my rights, and you can't do that to me. But it's not just the mothers, the dads. The dads. We need dads. We do. But what is happening with the girls is that they're, again, when you understand how you're made as a woman, you're like, oh, well, this makes sense. Why they're doing this in groups is because we're made to be connectors. We're includers. We talked about it earlier, how we're real intuitive about emotions. And we are the ones where people come and find comfort and peace, which is why our homes need to be like that. When I teach in the academy about having a home that feels like heaven on earth, and it's a home where everyone wants to be, including you, it's because it's not that it has pretty cabinets, it's that there's love and peace. And one of my biggest goals throughout the time that I was raising my family is I wanted my man to come through that door and shut that door and go, they can't get me in here. The world cannot get me in here. My girl's here, my kids are here, my dogs are here. I'm loved and it's peaceful, even though I'm telling you it was chaos. Chaos.
Okay.
And sometimes I was standing there with my keys and said, your turn. So, but that is where the goal is. The family and the home, and finding a place that's peaceful in the chaos is so, so important. And it's not that way. It's a place where we go in and we shower and we do homework and we eat and then we go to bed, hugs and kisses, I love you, and then we get up and go out and do the real work. The kids go out and do the real learning. The kids go out and learn what their teachers are going to say. And we as parents say, those are your teachers, you have to listen to them. And the kids come home and say, my teacher said you didn't sign this, and if you don't give this to me tomorrow it's signed, I'm going to get a check or whatever they give them. So can you see the confusion just in the authority and the questions? That there's really no safe place. The kids are so confused, and the parents are not that much older than they are. It is up to the older generation and people that understand the truth to be able to help them create this. Parents, this is the scary part, is moms say, if there was something that they were saying, I talked to my kids. And if they were saying weird things, I would know, because my kids would tell me I have a good communication with my kids. I said, Maybe. But they're telling your kids stuff and your kid doesn't think it's weird. Because there's a thing called the law of first knowledge. You ready?
Yes.
You want to hear it?
It sounds like it. Wait, is it another simple common sense truth from Mona?
It is. It's a
Okay.
it's a Mona the mom mentor.
Is it trademarked or copyrighted or something?
I have lots of people that call me America's mom mentor.
Okay.
But yeah, it is. But it's a simple truth that I can say to moms and then they get it quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So, whatever they hear first, when they hear it the second time, there's just enough time between the two. When they hear the thing that's wrong, they're like, that's not what I know, because they have knowledge. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to just not believe it or stand up and go, that ain't right, that's not the First Amendment, or, there is no such thing as cats that have boobs. Like, they're not going to say that. But there's just enough space for them to go, that's not what I know. And so it really is up to us to have to say the hard things.
And the first thing is a lie, or the first thing is a truth, and then the second thing's a lie?
Well, it depends on who tells you it first.
But so if the mom told the truth the first time, then when the liar comes along and says something, then they're a little more vulnerable because they start to question what the mom told them?
No, they're stronger because they're like, oh.
But if the evil person tells them a lie first, and then
their
mom
mother says it,
then it's a little harder?
My teacher told me that. I learned that in school.
Oh, and your teacher
is
more trustworthy than your mom.
And the college.
College, forget it.
Well, my professor, well, your professor isn't like, don't get me started there.
Oh my gosh.
And I know the word helicopter mom has a really bad connotation. And the way it was before, the way we kind of used it, it was correct. Like if you were hovering too much and you're doing all your kids' work and you wouldn't let them fall or fail. I like to call that the drone parent, because they're like up in it, buzzing, like taking pictures,
protecting.
like right. They're like doing all the stuff, filming things. Like that's a drone
good.
mom.
That's good.
That's bad.
Oh, that's bad. The drone mom's bad.
Yeah, drone moms are bad.
Helicopter mom is good.
Well, I think we need to elevate it, because it is elevated. Because we do need to be kind of hovering, looking. What's going on?
What
is the curriculum?
Right.
Right. So
he said something a little funny. I'm not really.
What was that?
I got to dig a little deeper with that.
Yeah, and what's the curriculum over there?
Yeah.
And all of that, and it's like, so the helicopter mom's like got her little thing on, 8-5 to tower, like what's going on?
I love the imagery.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had this happen to me. I went in and somebody made the mistake of calling Mona a helicopter mom. It was probably 15 years ago. And she called me helicopter. She goes, I think you're a helicopter mom. I said, I think you're in trouble because I want that curriculum. I have a right to that curriculum. And there's a federal law that says you have to show it to me. And I want to see the syllabus. I want to see what you're doing each week. And of course, I started out real sweet by saying, I want to help you at home.
Want to work together.
Well, she wasn't very helpful and called me helicopter mom. That was it.
Yeah.
And I just looked at her and I said, you know what? I am a helicopter mom. And I leaned in and I said, and you know what? I'm about ready to land this thing and my blades are sharp. You might want to stand back.
What do you think lays ahead for the whole long-time concept and implementation of public schools? Will they survive?
I think the saddest thing is that it will stay. And it will get more corrupt and worse. And the saddest thing is that the people that can't afford to do anything else or don't know what else to do, their kids are going to suffer. And that's my saddest thing about the whole thing, is this is not... Evil never corrects itself, Bill. Only light and goodness can influence evil. And if we're not influencing evil, so like my friend Allie, she's all about trying to get in there to school boards and trying to make changes. And I think that is so honorable. So honorable. And we may be able to save some of the schools, but the money is always tied to it. And so it will always be a fight. I was fighting when my kids were little. I fought the school system. I fought the sex education. I was in the school board all the time. This is nothing new. I'm so sad that we weren't able to make more progress, that it ended up being that they're set. They're going to do it. And they're progressive. They just keep progressing. And we just want to be left alone. So I see that the sad thing is that it will continue, and that the children that are hurt are the ones that the parents don't know what to do, or they can't afford to do it, or whatever. And that, to me, is extremely sad, because there's always a way out. Now, on the good side of that is that so many parents are going, because of COVID, they're like, hey, wait a minute, I can teach you that. Hey, so-and-so down here knows how to do something. And then the coolest thing with the trend, and I think this is why a lot of the moms are coming home too. Yes. They're like, in case you didn't know, I was a CEO and I made 7 figures. I don't need somebody to raise my kids. I'm really smart. Thank you very much. I can do it myself. And then they get home and they're like, Mona, the mom mentor. No lunches with friends. No 30-day bonuses, and people are throwing up on me. So they're getting it. But they are figuring out, hey, I want my kid to learn this. I want my kid to learn that. And they're creating things called pods. And the pods are 4 or 5 parents say, let's get together, and we'll get one lady, and it's usually a wonderful older woman who's retired, and they pay her $150,000 a year, and she can buy her own insurance, and they are in charge of what the curriculum is, and that teacher says, if you keep that up, I'm going to tell your mom. And when they pick them up, they tell them. Okay, so talking about capitalism, and we're Americans, and we think about things, and we teach our kids to be individual, rugged, like our girls too. Like, you are trendsetters. God has gifted you with stuff for this generation, and we want you to use it. Come, let's do this, right? Like one of my sons just got nominated for an Emmy, and I'm
wow.
Like, I know, isn't that cool? And then these kids are just so cool. We play bingo at Christmas and at any holiday that we're all together.
You play bingo.
We play bingo.
Okay.
My man, he has his bingo thing. He's
got the air popper and the
no, he has the traditional.
Manual.
It's got the manual with the wire cage and all the things, and it comes out. He's got it taped to the thing.
Wow.
We're so fun. So he gets the bingo going.
And you got the markers, the special markers, the marker cards?
Well, sometimes they use pennies.
Oh, okay.
Because we're capitalists.
That's right.
Okay. But still like that. So hilarious. So we go through and everything, and all of a sudden, and we have envelopes that have money in it. Well, we went to using fake money because Dad keeps upping the amount because he loves it that they play with him.
Yes.
And so there's 12 people around the table playing bingo, and the kids get to play everything. So my oldest son, who is an entrepreneur among us, and he says, I'm going pure. And we're like, what's that?
Pure bingo?
Pure bingo. Like, what's that?
Right, we all know.
It's not 4 corners. It's not like, what's that?
It's a strategy for
It's a strategy.
I'm going pure.
And we're like, where did you hear that? He goes, I just made it up. So we're kind of watching him go pure. And so it was that he took one. He had to decide which direction he was going. So wherever he put the first one, he had to say, I'm going this way or this way. And that's the only ones he could put down. Just one.
That sounds impossibly hard. Bingo's tough enough, but
you start
saying I'm only going in 1 or 2 directions.
Well,
does it work?
He won.
How many times?
My husband said, you go pure and you do that, $100. And within 2 or 3 things, no, it was like 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
And he did it. He went pure, and everybody went nuts. And then, of course, then his sons, he's teaching. You're teaching your kids.
Yeah.
And Pops is running the thing, and we're all like, blah, da, da, and it's like, we got one left. The other little boy goes pure. And I believe that when you have fun with your family, they want to be together, but to allow that wonderful American spirit, and that's what's going to save us. We can point at bad all day long, but we got to learn how to do it right, because just like motherhood isn't a natural talent, it's a skill, we can learn it. Like all of this, family isn't a natural instinct, we have to learn it. It's going to be okay, but it's not going to be okay for some people.
Right.
But we're going to
doing
stand up.
everything you can.
We're going to stand up and we're going to say it. And yeah, so
Thank you.
you're welcome.